From The Australian, here's what's on the front. I'm Claire Harvey. It's Tuesday, February 25. Former political staffer Bruce Lehrmann is back in court, this time for allegedly stealing a car. A police charge sheet alleges Lehrmann stole a Toyota Prado in the Huon Valley hamlet of Mountain River in late November. Lehrmann faced the Magistrates Court of Tasmania on Monday, but is yet to enter a plea. Peter Dutton says the coalition could save $6 billion a year by sacking 36,000 public service workers. It's a move that would more than cover the spending increase on Medicare and comes as the opposition leader challenges Labor to reveal how it will pay for the scheme. That story's live now at theaustralian.com.au. A year ago, WiseTech was one of Australia's proudest innovation success stories, a multi-billion-dollar logistics business. Now it's a shambles, with directors walking out the door and an embattled founder asserting his dominance despite a series of embarrassing sex scandals. Today, how it all fell apart for WiseTech and why all companies need to wise up. Everywhere you look in the corporate world, there's a charismatic tech genius whose personal life is unconventional.
Billionaire Bill Gates opened up for the first time since filing for divorce from his wife of 27 years.
Were you unfaithful in your marriage?
I certainly made mistakes, and I take responsibility.
26-year-old influencer has filed a custody petition with the New York Supreme Court asking to be granted sole legal custody of her and Elon Musk's alleged son, who goes by RSC, amid the tech mogul's absence.
This morning, Jeff Bezos still the world's richest man after the most expensive divorce in history. His ex-wife Mackenzie walking away with Amazon stock worth $36 billion.
But take any of these men away from the businesses they created, and what have you got? A whole lot of uncertainty. It's called key man risk. The idea that someone big at the centre of a business can't be replaced without risking the whole show. And in Australia, the perfect illustration is Richard White, the former guitar technician and lighting engineer who grew a billion-dollar business out of his suburban Sydney garage. White's personal life seems, to put it kindly, complicated. He's married to a woman named Zena Nasser. Last year, he settled a messy financial battle with another woman, Linda Rogan. A third lady, named Jenna Riches, has gone public about their romantic entanglement.
I didn't hear from him. I heard from his wife, who told me in a text message not to contact her husband ever again.
Other women have reportedly come forward with claims about inappropriate conduct. It's important to note Richard White denies any wrongdoing and there are no allegations of criminality. Late in 2024, he stepped back as CEO of the business and accepted a new title, founding CEO, with $1 million salary. But it seems WiseTech is not coping with the new arrangement.
Richard is flexing his muscles to say, look, I own 30% of this company. I founded it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm the boss.
Jared Lynch is the Australian's technology editor. He's been covering the latest twist in the WiseTech drama, as well as all the other big news in tech. And I caught him while he was on a brief stopover at Auckland Airport.
Oh, sorry. I'll just wait till that ends. So Richard White owns 37% of WiseTech. It was his baby. He founded it 30 years ago. He built it up from nothing to a $40 billion company. I mean, how many of us can do that in this life? What he's achieved is phenomenal. And as he said, when our colleague Liam Mendes interviewed him as he was stepping down from the role of CEO, I'm not going anywhere.
Mr. White, my name's Liam Mendes. I'm a journalist with The Australian. Why have you resigned today? Mr. White, why have you resigned today?
I'm not talking.
Are you concerned about more women are going to come out, Mr. White?
And what we've seen today is just that. Half the board have walked out the door because they couldn't reach agreement over his treatment, and he's shown investors and everyone else that I'm the boss.
Well, the chairman and 3 board members of the software company WiseTech will step down this week due to disagreements over the ongoing role of the founder, Richard White.
In Richard White's own words that we saw during the court case against his former lover, Linda Rogan, is that if anyone comes after me in terms of litigation, I will always win because I've got more resources than you. I mean, it was almost like in the film Matilda or the novel Matilda, you know, I'm bigger than you, I'm always going to win. It was exactly like that.
Listen, you little wiseacre. I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong. And there's nothing you can do about it.
The directors who have just walked out the door had commissioned a full corporate governance review into White's time as CEO.
It started to wound the company. I mean, they lost about $6 billion off their market cap. I mean, investors were hurting. And so he apologised. Interestingly, he didn't apologise for his behaviour. He apologised for the distraction that the subsequent media attention brought. So whether he was really sorry or not remains to be seen. It was a funny sort of apology. But regardless, he had a moment where he thought, I need to do something. I need to have a circuit breaker. Things were going well. They had their investor day in December. He shared the stage with Chairman Richard Damery saying, I promise not to interfere in management. But then over the summer holidays, something clearly has happened that has resulted in half the board walking out the door.
Yeah, investors are clearly concerned about Richard White's role in the company, but is your sense, Jared, that they're concerned that what the company would be without him, or are they concerned that his behaviour is problematic? Like, do investors have an ethical problem with him, or is it that they're worried that he might disappear altogether and then the company won't be worth their investment?
It's an absolute tightrope to manage because both scenarios are bad for WiseTech's share price. I mean, Richard White is WiseTech. He built the company from nothing. I mean, back in the 80s, he was working at Jupiter's Casino to ensure that the poker machines and stage shows wouldn't trip each other out. I mean, that's how he got his entree into the industry. And then he created this logistics software giant. I mean, he is the founder. He is so laser focused. He has built it into a $40 billion empire. If he were to disappear overnight with no clear succession plan, there's a risk that the company's share price would implode, and investors didn't want to see that happen. That's why everyone was so happy when they heard, okay, he's stepping down from the role of CEO, but he's going to stay on as a consultant, so you're not going to lose his presence, his knowledge, his expertise. But then on the other hand, you do have these ethical problems that arise, and we haven't got to the bottom of it yet because Richard White and his ex-lover Linda Rogan, they settled, so that didn't play out in court. Now we've got this review that might not see the light of day because the former directors who have now left said they were going to release it. There are no certainties whether that's going to be released now. So we never know the extent of his behaviour, his alleged wrongdoing, what exactly that is. People are going to be in the dark. So it's a massive, massive, massive leap of faith that's going on.
Coming up, could all this have been avoided? And if so, how? Some of the big investors in WiseTech are big superannuation funds. Of course, they have millions of members to whom they have obligations. Does that make them risk averse as investors, Jared, in terms of what they're prepared to tolerate from the businesses that they invest in?
Definitely. I mean, all the super funds have got big investment mandates, which have got a strong ESG, that environment, social, governance component to them. And that's what makes us in Australia so different to what's happening in the US, where Trump can sort of rip up the playbook on diversity and inclusion. But the same thing isn't happening here in Australia because the super funds have got so much sway. The difference in WiseTech is you've got the founder, Richard White, who has got a close, well, he's the biggest shareholder at 37%. So he holds so much sway, and he founded the company from nothing as well. So people are worried if he leaves, if he just rides off into the sunset, what will happen to WiseTech? And that is a big governance problem because there has been no succession plan that has been put in place. He hasn't been thinking about that. To highlight that, Andrew Cartledge, the current interim CEO, who was their previous chief financial officer, he had previously given his notice that he planned to retire. But then when Richard stepped down as CEO late last year, he said, okay, I'm putting that on hold now. I'm going to step into the bridge and steer the ship. That shows you the extent of the leadership chaos that's going on at the moment.
Yeah, last year a CEO search was launched, but it's not clear if that's even proceeding now. Would anyone want to be the CEO of this company, given that you've got, on one hand, the founder breathing down your neck, presumably with very strong opinions about what should be happening, and on the other hand, investors extremely nervous?
There is no doubt the CEO of WiseTech Global would be the toughest gig in corporate Australia for that very reason. How can you manage the company effectively when you have got the billionaire founder who's the biggest shareholder, who is still walking around Alexandria with $1 million a year paycheck, swinging his weight around? How can you manage a company effectively? What parameters could you install to ensure proper corporate governance? I mean, it's an absolute mess.
Is there any way this could have been avoided, do you think, Jared, apart from Richard White just staying home and having a Scotch finger and a cup of tea every night?
Good luck with that. I like that image too. How this could have been avoided, Claire, just comes down to succession planning, and every company should take a lesson from this. It's not good enough to pin your hopes on one person, regardless if they're the founder, whether they're a long-serving CEO, whether they're a gun-hot candidate or whatever. All corporates need to be thinking, who's going to be next? And then have a smooth transition plan that's ready to go in motion, because that was the one element that was missing in WiseTech, and that's what's led to the company's undoing.
Jared Lynch is the Australian's technology editor. Thanks for joining us on The Front. We'll be back right here tomorrow. In the meantime, join our subscribers at theaustralian.com.au.